for the Ledbetter Academy down in Florida. You may know him best from his appearance on the hit TV show Blind Date.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Was that you?
That is me. Did you find that on Google?
Literally just before we started this, I Googled you to make sure I had everything. Like, I was like, I just want to make sure I got, his specifics. And that was the first thing that came up. I was like, I gotta watch this.
I was one time, I was in a van with 5 or 6 kids going to a tournament. And I was driving and I heard this like, and then I was like, and then I heard it again. And all like 7 kids had put it on their phone. And it was just surrounded by it. Yeah, man, that was a long time ago. I was 20 years old. I was basically, I'd just about finished playing rugby at university. So I was like done. And me and my friends went to Greece. And we partied in Malia in Greece for like 7 weeks. But just prior to that, I'd been to an audition. And I didn't really think much of it. They approached me. I was working in a shop and they asked me to audition. And while I was in Greece, they gave me the phone call. Hey, you're on the show. And I didn't have any money to get back from Greece. And they paid my airfare. So I was like all in. And then, that was 5 minutes of fame, right? It's had more hits than any of my golf coaching videos. So that was.
That's great.
I was a little younger then. I looked a little younger then. Sagging a little bit.
I haven't watched the whole thing. I'll go back and watch it later.
Yeah. I know.
Sure.
I mean, there's better things to be finding out there.
All right. So everything else good to go? We ready?
Yeah. If you just fire questions, and then we'll go for like 30, 40 minutes and just give your guys that are in your webinars, just give them a little bit and where they can connect with me and stuff like that. That's fine.
Perfect. Yeah, I want to definitely highlight you, how they can reach out to you and get in touch with you, connect with you for some of your stuff for sure. 30 minutes maybe at most. So this is an hour-long training that I'm doing every day. And so Fridays, our last call is going to be the whole program is called Mental Mastery. And Friday's is based on how to practice in order to take it to the golf course. So honestly, it's probably just going to be an interactive conversation where I'll ask a couple questions and then I'm just going to kind of go with the flow and we'll see where it leads us to. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, awesome. So let me hit record here. Oh, can I get permission to record?
I'm recording it. So do you want me to just YouTube it and send it to you?
Oh, perfect.
Or do you want me to? Yeah, I actually just recorded that intro as well. So
even better.
Feel free to edit that out. But yeah, I'm recording. I set it up to auto record. I clicked record actually earlier on. So just I'll just put it into YouTube and send you the link.
All right, perfect. Okay. Awesome. All right, cool. So excited to have Ian Highfield with us. Ian is the co-founder of what's it called? Train to Perform. I'm sorry, Game Like Training, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Game Like Training. Let's try this again. I can just cut that one out. Excited to have Ian Highfield with us. We've been talking about this all week. Ian is the co-founder of Game Like Training. He is based out of Georgia, but also works down at the Ledbetter Academy in Florida. Works with world-class athletes in all sports, but in regards to golf, has players from your recreational player all the way up to PGA Tour and European Tour players. So, Ian, first of all, thanks so much for joining us this week, and we are so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And a great introduction, but no PGA Tour players as of yet. The other tours, but no PGA. It's a goal. It's a goal.
All right. Well, that's a good goal. And I'm knowing you and just the conversations we've had over the past couple of weeks, I'm sure you will certainly get to that goal very soon. So, this whole week for us, Ian, has been based on the mental game and really how to own your mindset. And we've talked a lot about how to create certainty ahead of time and your inner beliefs and who you are as a player. And from what I've learned from you and just from past experience, I understand that a lot of that comes from the way that we actually practice. So if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about how golfers normally practice and
Yeah.
maybe why that does or doesn't kind of translate to their performance on the golf course.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that are going to watch this, the likelihood is, and the general pattern that I've seen over the oof, decade to 12 years that I've been doing this, is that golf practice is too easy. Um, when golfers turn up, they're generally seeking comfort and confidence, and they want to hit the ball well, and they want to do this through repetition. So most golfers get to the range, they pull their favorite club, 7-iron, 8-iron, and they repeatedly hit 7-iron, 8-irons, hoping to strike it in the center of the face and get this draw. And maybe they're working on a swing move that helps them hit this little push draw. And they'll do that 100 to 150 times. And maybe they get into this physical flow where they're doing it nicely. But unfortunately, that doesn't transfer to the golf course. It just creates almost like a false confidence. Because what that kind of practice lacks is context. And context is king. So if anyone listening has ever asked themselves, why can't they take their range striking to the golf course? That's the answer. Your practice is too easy, and it lacks context. So what we actually have to do when we practice golf is we have to add more space between each shot when we're on the range. We have to add more variability in the task. We have to add some form of challenge, maybe a scoring system or self-measuring. And all of this then creates a context. Now, the issue with that is it's harder and we will probably fail. And as humans, we don't like to fail. But if we're failing in an environment that has spacing, variability, and challenge, we can learn to self-correct. And that's critical. That's what is going to help us perform better on the golf course. Hitting the ball well in a very repetitive, stable environment won't transfer. Creating a practice regime with spacing, variability, and challenge will help you learn to self-correct. And it's those self-corrections that will eventually help you lower your golf score. So ultimately, golf practice, it's not about getting this feeling and keeping it. It's about losing the feeling, being able to recall it whilst you're under a little bit of pressure and a little bit of stress. That's what golf practice should be about, because that's what golf competition is about.
Yeah, I love that, man. And hopefully everyone that's watching this is taking notes. I'm sitting here taking notes. Hopefully you guys are taking notes too. But one thing that you've shared with me that I really liked is the idea of, I think you have two different types of practice. One would be more to train, and then one would be more to perform. And
Yeah.
I don't want everyone that's watching this to get this wrong. We're not saying that you shouldn't work on your technique, that you shouldn't, maybe try to improve your golf swing, but there's a way that you can do that, and there's a way that you can practice so that you could actually ingrain those things you're working on more easily, and then also take it to the golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. So my message is you should absolutely work on your golf swing, but you shouldn't do it in a repetitive fashion, believing that you're developing muscle memory. Muscle memory doesn't exist. Your muscles, they don't have memory. And rep after rep after rep doesn't lead to learning. So what ultimately leads to learning is what we would call cognitive stress. So putting stress on our brain. And again, that comes back to spacing, variability, and challenge. So spacing is the time between each shot. So if I hit 7-iron number 1, and then 5 seconds later, I hit 7-iron number 2, I have readily available information from the previous shot that I wouldn't normally have access to on the golf course. So we did 10 seconds of spacing there. Now, if I hit 7-iron number 1 and then the space between the shot becomes 2 minutes, I now, as I stand over that next 7-iron, my mind has to think, man, it's been 2 minutes. What did I do 2 minutes ago that helped me hit the shot? Or what did I do 2 minutes ago that wasn't quite right that I need to adjust this time? So that keeps our brain engaged. So we are working our memory. We are trying to recall previous successes or failures. That's how we learn. So the spacing effect is vital. So for any golfer watching this, 20 balls in 20 minutes would probably improve the spacing that they're creating on the golf range. So 1 ball a minute for 20 minutes. And then what I would say is first 5 balls could be focused on swing drill number 1. So you might have swing drill A that you've prescribed them to help them with their mechanics. So they go 5 balls, swing drill 1. So they're doing the swing drill, they hit the ball, that's the first minute. Doing the swing drill, hit the ball, that's the second minute and second ball. They go all the way to 5. And then they might change the swing drill. So now they might go to swing drill 2 or swing drill B, whatever we want to say. And they do that 5 times over 5 minutes. Then the next 5 balls go back to swing drill A or swing drill 1. And now your brain's going to be like, oh, what was I doing last time? Man, it's been 5 minutes and I've done all those different variants. So you're constantly engaging your working memory. And that is how you make a swing change stick. It's not through repetition. It's not through muscle memory. It's through spacing and variability. And the more space we have and the more variability we have, the more challenging it is to practice. And that is how we learn. And if you're a pro, you want high spacing, variability, and challenge. And if you're a complete beginner, you probably want very low spacing, variability, and challenge. So hitting 30 balls in 20 minutes, if you've never, ever swung a golf club before, that's okay. Because that in itself is challenging enough. But as soon as we start to show the skills, then we have to change. And that would be an example, as you've said, of training to learn. That's how we retain swing changes and make swing changes stick. And then training to perform is more about score. So training to perform might be something like on the golf range, we have to hit a driver into a fairway that's imaginary 40 yards wide. Then we have to hit a 9-iron to inside 40 feet of our target. And then we have to walk to the putting green and hole an 8-foot putt. And we get a point for each one we successfully execute. And if we do all 3 in a row, we get 5 points. We get 2-point bonus. And then we go again and we come back to our driver. And now guess what? There's been an iron and there's been a putt in between the driver, just like golf. So we have to challenge our mind. We have to go through our full routine and we have to really work hard to hit a high quality driver. Now, again, the problem is we're going to fail because it's hard, but that's what golf is. So take the failure, embrace the failure, have a journal, write down your feelings and your thoughts, try and learn from it. And that's eventually that kind of practice, the training to perform, that kind of practice, we're using spacing, variability, and challenge to create a performance environment that will help you eventually transfer your range game to the golf course. So that's both of those in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. And that's so different from the way that most people practice golf, right? And I know you've seen it and I've seen it, and a lot of people watching this have probably done it, where you get on the range and you got that old basket of balls next to you and you just rake and hit, rake and hit, rake and hit. And, you know, I know the girls at Vision 4 call it giving yourself princess lies. If we go work on short game stuff, we always give ourselves a good lie. And on the golf course, you know, We usually don't get that a whole lot. So let me pick your brain a little bit on some short game drills. I'm really big on the short game. I feel like, especially, well, heck, at any level, but for someone that's trying to break 90 or break 80 or even break 70 more consistently, you can gain more strokes by having a good short game than you can by hitting the ball in the middle of the club face. At least that's my opinion. But I would love to hear a good little short game drill that you might have used in the past or just coming up with off the top of your head.
Yeah, so I mean, I like them. I would build a game or a challenge where the majority of scoring or the core of the challenge is around short game, but some of the other components of golf would still be involved. So, for example, if it was an on-course game, I might say something like hit your driver. If your driver hits the fairway, you get to pick up you get to pick up your golf ball and move it 100 yards closer to the green. And now immediately you're in the short game zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If your driver misses the fairway, you play the ball as normal. Okay. If you make birdie or par, you write that score down and you continue to the next hole. If you make a bogey, you get a bonus try. You can chip. And if you get your chip inside 6 feet, then the score that you got automatically becomes par. So just an innovative way of us being out on the golf course, we hitting drivers, which is an important part of the game, but ultimately the short game is going to be tested a lot in that challenge. So I like short game challenges, but the problem is if you are around a green and you hit a chip shot and then you move and you hit another chip shot and then you move and you hit another chip shot, even if you're moving, most players will still be getting some information from the previous shot. So I try and avoid games in isolation. So a lot of the games that I build would be on the golf course. Like, I mean, I just made that last one up off the top of my head, but it would be something like that. If you don't have the luxury of being able to do that on your golf course, I would probably have something like you've got to hit a driver or an iron to a target. If you are successful on the range, hitting that to the target, then you would get 2 pitch shots as opposed to 1 pitch shot, or 2 chip shots as opposed to 1 chip shot. So the quality of the iron or the quality of the drive gives you a bonus ball. And then I love games that start with like a total number of feet. So let's pretend, let's just make up another game. You start with 250 feet. You hit driver onto the fairway. So you win a bonus ball. And you've got to hit now you get to hit 2 60-yard chip shots. And you get to pick the best one. And however far it finishes from the target, you deduct that off 250 feet. So let's say you hit your driver, it goes on the fairway. You've now got a bonus wedge shot. You hit your first 60-yard wedge shot, it goes to 30 feet. You hit your next one, it goes to 20. You pick the best one. So you take 20 from 250, you've got 230 left. You now go to a driver and you hit your driver and you miss the fairway. So you don't get the bonus ball. So now you hit your 60-yard pitch shot and you hit it to 35 feet. Now you've got to deduct 35 feet off 250, off 220. Sorry, 230, because that's what was remaining. And ultimately, you're going to see how many pitch shots you can hit before you run out of feet. That's the goal. And sometimes these games are a little hard to explain. Like now, I'm just trying to make it up. But once I always have a whiteboard. And once I write them down on the whiteboard and the student is clear, ultimately they're still practicing their chipping or their pitching, but they're hitting other shots in between. So we've created spacing, variability, and challenge. Does that make sense? I don't know if I butchered that or.
Yeah, no, that was great. And so we'll, when we get towards the end of this, I definitely want you to share with everyone some information on you, because I know that we've had several questions so far this week on, how exactly do I practice in a way to be more confident on the golf course? And, I think that's all the stuff you've talked about. And I think what people struggle with the most, especially your average golfers who don't practice every day, is creating these games to create that space and that variability, that challenge, the
Yeah.
things that, you just do off the top of your head. You can just create these two games. I say, hey, give me a short game, and boom, you can create one because you've had so much experience working with people like that. And I think that these are the things that are essential to everyone that's watching here. Like, this is what you guys can do to really improve your golf game. And it's not hit 1,000 golf balls. And for someone that does coach more, I do coach a decent amount of full swing and technique stuff, whereas you're more a performance coach, which I love. But as someone that kind of plays in between the both, I always have the balancing act of, I want these people to feel comfortable on the range because I want them to come back and take a lesson. I don't want them to feel like they're wasting their time. You know what I mean? But what you're saying, if I'm getting this right, Ian, is you're saying that it's more important for them is their development as a golfer to practice the right way.
Yeah, and I'm very blessed because people come to me knowing, oh, he's the guy that's going to make it hard. He's the transfer in from the range to the golf course guy. So he tells me I'm going to fail, so I'm going to have to fail. I'm lucky like that, because if I was in your position where it's my job to make them hit it better in their mind, that's a battle, because it's hard. So I think there's two things that I really want to make clear. Number one, the brain is an amazing thing. And as humans, we're blessed with a gift. It's the gift of adaptability. So if we take our brain out of homeostasis, if we take our body out of homeostasis, or if we take it out of our comfort zone, as we might refer it to, it will adapt. Our brain will adapt and our body will adapt. But the way to do that is through effective practice. So we have to recreate and simulate situations we're going to face on the golf course in practice. We have to fail. We have to get a little stressed, and our body will respond to that, and our brain will respond to that, and we will learn. So it's critical that we're building up this memory bank in practice of taking on real golf situations. That's the first thing. So confidence isn't going to come from going and seeing a psychologist and hugging it out and picturing making 18 birdies. That ship has sailed. No one really believes that anymore. Or I hope people coach-wise don't believe that anymore. They understand that we got to train confidence. And the way that I've explained how we train is going to help us build. Confidence isn't a great word. I'd prefer self-efficacy. Seeing ourselves in certain situations on the golf course and having a data bank from practice that we can call upon to adapt to that situation. That's self-efficacy. That's what we want to achieve. The second thing is, don't try and build confidence. Confidence is kind of garbage when it comes to club golfer, even pro golfer. If you listen to Tiger Woods' interview when he won at East Lake and he's walking down 18 and gets mobbed by the crowd, the commentator after asked him, Tiger, what were you thinking in that moment? And he said, I was still thinking I could blade this out the back of the green and lose the tournament. It's Tiger Woods. And he's having those thoughts. And then someone who plays golf once every 3 weeks and works in an office 9 to 5 doesn't think that they should have those thoughts. It's crazy. So if I was a club golfer, if I was playing golf again, and I played around scratch mark when I was playing with my friends in England, I would actually visualize things going wrong, because they're going to. It is inevitable as a club golfer that something is going to go wrong within 18 holes. So I would picture things going wrong, and then I would say, how are you going to respond to that? Avoidance of things going wrong is impossible for a club golfer. How you respond to it is really what's going to be critical for your mind and body. Good body language, good breathing, good self-talk. So don't picture yourself making 18 birdies. Understand that things are going to go wrong. And before the tournament, as you're driving there, picture yourself walking with great body language, like Ian Poulter. Picture yourself breathing like you're doing yoga, or like you're a Buddhist monk or a Zen monk. Talk to yourself. What are you going to say to yourself in your mind when things go wrong? How are you going to get yourself back on track? Because that, when things go wrong and we let our mind get carried away, it's our physiology that then affects the golf swing. So our mind starts to get carried away, our body tenses up, we get angry, that impacts our swing. So when something goes wrong, if we cannot reply with good body language, good breathing, good self-talk, then we keep our body in a state that is actually going to help our golf swing still move as effectively as we can get it to on that day. So that would be the two things. I think we have to train self-efficacy. We have to train in practice to create these mental representations ready for golf. And then don't believe that the round is going to go perfectly. Understand that something's going to go wrong. And the critical point of your round, it's not avoiding this, it's embracing it and responding to it correctly.
I think I love the way you described all that, and it does a perfect job of, for us, tying this week back into where we started, where, I know, Ann, you weren't here with us, but the first day I always talked about mental toughness, and I kind of give my own definition of mental toughness. And a lot of people think mental toughness is the fact that you're not going to get nervous, or you're not going to have fear. And like you just said with Tiger at Eastlake, it's still there. So, the definition that I've come up with, and I'd love to have your opinion on this and hear what your definition is. My definition of mental toughness is not that you're not going to have those feelings, but more importantly, you're aware that you're going to have those ahead of time, and also that you have tools in place and you've practiced in a way to help you develop those tools so that when they arise, you can become aware of them, and then you have something that you can use to combat them and overcome them.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's a scientific fact that if you're going to play your best, you have to get nervous. There's a book, The Rise of Superman, an incredible book, and it talks about flow state and the neurochemicals that get released in the brain and in the body, the hormones that get released in the body when we are in flow are actually, a lot of them are same as when we are anxious. But so cortisol, norepinephrine, they're all part of high performance, and they're all part of anxiety and nerves. So we have to be nervous to release those neurochemicals to then allow us to play our best. So if you want to achieve flow state or the zone or whatever it is, you literally have to be nervous. You can't get there without being nervous and anxious. And I would say that I think my definition of mental toughness is, I think it's really hard, but I think you've got to embrace the suck in training. You got to embrace the failure in training. If you are a golfer that wants to practice, go out there and practice what you're not good at. Put yourself in demanding positions, get stressed, get annoyed, because what you'll do is you'll learn to inoculate that stress response in practice, and then you'll be ready for tournament play. And I think the highest form of mental toughness in golf is going out and focusing on having fun, no matter what your score is. That would be it for me. I did not do that as a junior athlete. And that's one of the reasons that I definitely coach now. But I did start to do it when I just played club golf with my friends for fun. When I finished playing rugby at college and went back and played golf for fun with my friends. And at the core of my golf was friendship, fun. I did practice. I didn't practice as well as I would have, knowing what I know now, but maybe better than most. But mental toughness was when I was 9 over through 12, and I was still able to have a joke with my friends, give my friends a high five, and then enjoy my my beer when I got into the clubhouse after. I think that's the best for any golfer that's going to be listening to this. But if you want
Except
that,
for you high school kids listening, ignore the beer part.
oh, okay, yeah, non-alcoholic
We've
beer.
got a range of high school kids, some college players, and some older people. So high school kids, at least give it a couple of years, or don't tell mom and dad you got to.
Yeah, and the college kids, no beers if you're on scholarships for the college kids. Okay.
That's right. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for joining us and for just sharing your knowledge with us today. And I know for you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And for any of you guys watching this that, want some help developing some practice plans or want to know more about Ian and what he does, Ian, how can they find you?
Yeah, I'm just going to flash something up on the screen. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
So if everyone just gets their mobile phone and puts it on camera and then holds the camera to that, it will do one of those like hyperlink things. And then it will open up on this. And then there's plenty of free downloads for practice plans, for everything we've talked about. There's online courses on there. There's a free webinar that talks about this stuff in a bit more like detail with slides. There's just a plethora of stuff on there that I give away for free. And then obviously there's links to published books and the online courses that I sell.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm sure you guys, if you can't figure it out on your phone right now, for some of you that are like me and not quite as tech savvy as some of these college and high school kids, let me know. I'll be more than happy to get you.
I'll send it. I'll send you a couple of things on email, like YouTube videos and things. But ultimately, just put your camera on and hold it and have that in the middle of the screen on your camera. And if it doesn't work, I'll fire across the link to you, and then you can email it out to everyone. Actually, as soon as we're done, I'll text it across to you.
Perfect. Love it, man.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And again, appreciate you taking your time. I know for us, this is a late at night for you. You're stuck down in Florida, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking your time to share your knowledge with me. And then also to everyone that's part of this group this week. It's been a great week for us. And hopefully this was the icing on the cake getting to hear from Ian. So thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you. And I appreciate you reaching out. Anyone that wants to push the game of golf forward and help students move towards their goals and dreams, I've always got time for.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.